10 days. That's how long I held the bridge. Staff Sergeant Michael Chen said it like counting down to apocalypse. He was watching David Morrison, 42 years old, civil engineer, present his company's latest bridge monitoring systems, advanced structural analysis, real-time stress modeling, and predictive maintenance, ensuring 99.9% bridge reliability for decades. David was showing sleek 3D models of modern suspension bridges with sensors detecting microfractures before they became problems, explaining how modern engineering has eliminated the concept of catastrophic bridge failure. When David asked the 98-year-old World War II combat engineer about the evolution of military bridge construction, expecting admiration for technological progress, Staff Sergeant Chen said, 10 days. Ludendorff Bridge. Remagen. March 1945. Last bridge across the Rhine. Germans tried to destroy it every single day. Bombed it. Shelled it. Sent frogmen with explosives. And I kept it standing. Because if that bridge fell, the war lasted 6 more months. 20,000 more dead. So I held it. 10 days. Against everything Germany had left. David stopped his presentation. But surely with that level of attack. It should have fallen day 1. Chen interrupted quietly. Germans had wired it with 600 pounds of TNT. Detonation failed, partially. Bridge damaged, but standing. Then they threw everything at us. Luftwaffe bombs. V-2 rockets. Artillery barges. Underwater demolition teams. And me, 24 years old, combat engineer, I had to keep that bridge standing while 25,000 Allied troops crossed per day. Because that bridge was worth more than gold. It was worth the war. His voice dropped. Your modern bridge lasts decades with sensors. My bridge lasted 10 days with prayer. And those 10 days ended the war 6 months early. In the corner, a young structural engineer, Dr. Sarah Martinez, 36, structural engineering specialist, had frozen. She'd never heard Staff Sergeant Chen's story before. But now she was recording every word. So was David. For the first time, his disaster prevention claim was facing war reality. How? David asked. 10 days how? Attack every day? Let me tell you day by day, Chen said. Every day new attack. Every day new damage. And every day, I repaired. Because there was no choice. March 7th, 1945, Chen began. 9th Armored Division. Approaching Remagen. And we see, bridge still standing. Ludendorff Railway Bridge. 1,000 feet long. Steel arch. Over the Rhine. Chen looked at Sarah. All other bridges had been destroyed. Germans blew up every bridge while retreating. But this was still standing. We attacked, Chen described. German soldiers were defending the bridge. And we fought. We took the bridge approach. And then we saw cables. TNT. 600 pounds of explosives. The bridge was prepared for demolition. And Germans pressed the button. Chen continued. Explosion. Huge. But not complete. Some cables had been cut. Some TNT had fallen into the water. Explosion happened, but bridge only damaged. Didn't fall. David asked, how much damage? South tower, 40-foot crack, Chen answered. North support, twisted. Center arch, stressed. But structure was holding. And we crossed. First tank, Chen whispered, Sergeant Alex Drobick. On foot. Running. Crossed the bridge. First man. And tank came. Then more. And that day, 8,000 soldiers crossed. Second day, Chen described, Hitler heard. Remagen Bridge in Allied hands. And he went insane. Chen looked at David. Fired 4 generals. Executed 5 officers. Because the bridge hadn't been destroyed. And gave order. Destroy that bridge. At any cost. Luftwaffe came. Chen continued. Me-262 jet fighters. First jet bombardment. 500-pound bombs. And I was working on bridge. Damage assessment. And bombs started falling. First bomb, Chen described, hit 50 feet away. Into Rhine. Explosion. Water geyser. Bridge shook. Second bomb, direct hit. South pier. Metal shattered. But structure held. Sarah asked, did you repair? Every night. Chen nodded. Daytime, troops crossing. 12,000 second day. 15,000 third day. Nighttime, I repair. Welding cracked steel. Straightening twisted supports. Installing new rivets. And Germans, Chen added, send sabotage every night. Frogmen, underwater, trying to attach explosives to bridge supports. And we have to shoot them. Because if one explosive succeeds, bridge falls. Fourth day, Chen said, German artillery came. 88 mm guns. 105 mm howitzers. 170 mm railway guns. And bombardment started. 280 shells, Chen whispered. Fourth day? 480 minutes. One shell every half minute. And each hit damage. Chen looked at Sarah. North arch, shell hit. 20-foot crack widened. South support, 2 hits. Rivets started popping. Deck, shrapnel damage. Holes opened. And Chen continued, repair. But now I can't keep up. Damage too fast. I fix one crack, 2 new form. I stabilize one support, another bends. Fifth day, Chen cried. Structural engineer, Colonel Harrison, told me Chen, bridge critical. Maybe 2 more days. Maybe 1 day. Maybe tomorrow it collapses. We don't know. And Chen's voice broke, said, Sir, I'll keep repairing. Because that bridge can't fall. Not yet. 18,000 more soldiers need to cross. Sixth day, Chen described, V-2 rockets came. Germany's superweapon. Ballistic missile. 4 times speed of sound. And we didn't even hear it coming. First V-2, Chen whispered, hit 200 feet away. Explosion. Shockwave rocked bridge. Metal groaned. Rivets popped. And structure moved. Visible. Bridge shifted one way. Then back. Resonance. Chen's hands trembled. And I knew. If one V-2 hits directly, bridge collapses instantly. 1-ton warhead. Supersonic impact. No chance. Second V-2. Chen continued. Next day. 150 feet. Closer. Explosion open crater in south approach. Approach tilted. 15 degrees off center. And I couldn't straighten it. Too much damage. Only braced it. And prayed. Eighth day, Chen said, no longer attack. Fatigue. Metal fatigue. 7 days continuous stress. Bombardment. Vibration. Weight. And metal can't take anymore. Cracks, Chen described, everywhere. Big cracks. Small cracks. In steel. In concrete. In rivets. And every crack, growing. Chen looked at Sarah. And I calculated. Stress analysis. Rough. But I knew. Center arch, at critical stress point. If you add 2,000 more pounds, collapses. 1 tank, Chen whispered, 35 tons. 70,000 pounds. And we're crossing 200 tanks per day. Ninth day, Chen cried. Colonel Harrison said, Chen, bridge must close. Too dangerous. Troops should use different route. And I understood. But 25,000 soldiers were crossing daily. Different route, extra 50 miles. Extra 2 days. And war was continuing. 10th day, Chen said quietly. March 16th. And I knew, this is last day. Bridge can't hold anymore. But just 1 more day? 1 more day, 20,000 soldiers cross. Morning, Chen described. I made final repairs. Final weld. Final rivet. Final brace. And I touched the bridge. Metal. Cold. Trembling. And said, please. 1 more day? Just 1 day. And bridge, Chen smiled, held. 10 hours. 22,000 soldiers crossed. Tanks. Trucks. Artillery. And each crossing, bridge groaned. But held. And evening, Chen whispered, we crossed last soldier. And I left the bridge. And looked back. 310,000 soldiers had crossed in 10 days. To win the war. 11th day, Chen cried, bridge collapsed. 3 p.m. Center arch sudden. 1,000 feet of steel fell into Rhine. But, Chen looked at Sarah. 28 men were on bridge. Combat engineers. My team. Repair work. And when collapse happened, Chen's voice broke. 28 men fell. 9 survived. 19 died. My friends, my brothers, died with bridge. Marcus knelt, hugged Chen. You're a hero. No. Chen shook his head. I'm an engineer. 19 men are heroes. They died with bridge. Bridge saved 310,000 men and shortened war 6 months. The following month, David announced a new program, Critical Infrastructure Defense Engineering, Wartime Structure Protection. Staff Sergeant Michael Chen passed away 2 years later at 100. Beside a steel piece from Ludendorff Bridge, monument erected. Staff Sergeant Michael Chen 1921 to 2045 Remagen Bridge engineered 10 days, 310,000 saved. War ended 6 months early. 19 died, so the bridge could stand. Now it's your turn. This story of Staff Sergeant Michael Chen confronts us with a question about critical infrastructure in wartime. What does it mean to hold a bridge when millions depend on it? When the enemy throws everything they have at one structure because they absolutely know, that if that bridge stands, they lose the war months earlier. What does holding a bridge mean when millions depend on it? The Ludendorff Bridge at Remagen was the last bridge standing across the Rhine River in March 1945. Every other bridge, dozens of them, had been systematically destroyed by retreating German forces. But this one, through a combination of faulty demolition charges and incredible luck, remained standing when American forces arrived on March 7, 1945. And suddenly, the Allies had something unprecedented, a direct route into the heart of Germany. Hitler's reaction was immediate and extreme. He fired 4 generals. He executed 5 officers for failing to destroy the bridge. And then he threw everything Germany had left at that bridge: Luftwaffe bombers, V-2 ballistic missiles, heavy artillery, underwater demolition teams, saboteurs. Because Hitler understood what that bridge meant. It meant the war ended 6 months earlier than it otherwise would have. And Staff Sergeant Michael Chen, 24 years old, combat engineer, had one mission: keep that bridge standing. Not for a week. Not until it was safe. Keep it standing while 25,000 troops per day crossed. While tanks and artillery and supply trucks rolled across damaged steel and cracked concrete. While German bombs fell and shells exploded, and the structure groaned under stress it was never designed to withstand. For 10 days, Chen repaired damage every night that accumulated every day, welding cracked steel, replacing popped rivets, bracing twisted supports, shoring up damaged piers, all while knowing that the next bomb, the next shell, the next V-2 rocket could be the one that brought the whole structure down with him on it. By day 9, structural engineers calculated the bridge was at critical failure point. It should close. It was too dangerous. But closing it meant 25,000 soldiers per day had to detour 50 miles, adding 2 days to their advance. 2 days meant the war lasted longer. Meant more people died. So the bridge stayed open. And Chen kept repairing. 310,000 soldiers crossed that bridge in 10 days. On the 11th day, March 17, 1945, at 3 p.m., the center arch finally gave way. The entire 1,000-foot span collapsed into the Rhine. 28 combat engineers, Chen's team, doing repair work, were on the bridge when it fell. 19 died. 9 survived. But those 10 days changed history. Military historians agree. The Remagen Bridge shortened the war in Europe by approximately 6 months. That's 6 months of combat, 6 months of casualties, 6 months of Holocaust victims. Estimates suggest the bridge saved 20,000 Allied lives and uncounted civilian lives by accelerating Germany's defeat. One bridge. 10 days. 310,000 soldiers saved. War ended 6 months early. And 19 engineers who died so it could stand long enough. Tell us in the comments below. Have you ever had to hold something, a position, a project, a commitment, when everything was trying to break it? When you knew if it failed, the consequences would cascade far beyond just you. These questions matter in a world where infrastructure failures can affect millions. And if this story moved you, hit that like button to honor Staff Sergeant Chen and the 19 engineers who died with the bridge. Subscribe to Echoes of Valor for more stories about impossible engineering under fire. Share with someone who needs to remember that sometimes holding for 10 days changes history. Tomorrow, we have another story about making the impossible hold. One that will remind you that sometimes engineering isn't about perfection, it's about holding long enough. Until then, remember Chen's words. Your modern bridge lasts decades with sensors. My bridge lasted 10 days with prayer. And those 10 days ended the war 6 months early. Thank you for watching. Thank you for remembering. We'll see you in the next story.